Now, a row has erupted online surrounding some critics' views of opera singer Tara Erraught. Now, she appeared at Glyndebourne Opera Festival on Saturday night. It was her first appearance there. And Andrew Clark of the Financial Times described her as a chubby bundle of puppy fat. Simon Heffer of the Daily Mail said she would never win Miss World. And Quentin Letts, who also writes the Daily Mail, said it looks like she's been at the biscuits. Oh, harsh.
Harsh, really.
Imagine waking up and reading that this morning, although the critics are saying, we just say it as it is, we're just there to give our view, and they thought she didn't look the part.
Well, I scanned those reviews and I couldn't find anything about her singing ability. It was all about her appearance. And I wonder, now I've seen a picture of Quentin Letts.
That's her on the left there. And this is the opera Janet, Der Rosenkavalier. Where she has to play a boy and a girl, doesn't she?
Yeah, well, this happens in a lot of operas. It's a comic opera, and she plays a boy and a girl. It's a bit like a panto dame. It's played by a girl who is dressed as a boy, who falls in love with the heroine. I mean, I read all these reviews, and the first thing I say is they're all written by men, and wouldn't it be absolutely fantastic if we had the pictures of all these men who feel so fit to pronounce on a woman's appearance. And by the way, a young woman who has won international opera awards, toured America and was described as A Star is Born when she made her debut at the Bavarian State Opera. So it's not as if she's a learner driver on the opera stage. She's an internationally recognised star.
I think now I've seen a picture of Quentin Letts. I saw him this morning in my newspaper. I might not now read his articles. I don't know
Do you want to talk to him?
Yeah, I do want to talk to him.
Look, Quentin. We've got Quentin. Quentin is the Daily Mail theatre critic. Are you there, Quentin?
Morning, ladies.
Hello, Quentin.
Afternoon. So
I've got a question for you. Do you think the way you look affects your ability to write?
No, I don't think it does, because but what I do is not the same as what Tara does. And Tara is doing a dramatic art. It's a bit like telly in some senses, in that the stage is a visual medium.
What, do you mean then, Quentin, that women who don't look right shouldn't be on television? Because that's what you're implying.
I think they couldn't do all roles, no, just the same way that a fat bloke couldn't pull off the part on telly of a skinny bloke. But if he was on radio, that would be fine. But if you're the wrong shape for a role, I don't think it works in the visual medium.
And why did you all consider... It's very interesting that all of the critics seem to use very similar words, which made me wonder, do you kind of chat to each other in the interval and discuss what you think of people on the stage? Did you do that?
Well, I'm actually a theatre critic. I'm not one of the opera critics who reviewed this opera. My piece today was talking about the principles of critics being allowed to refer to the size of a dramatic performer.
So you didn't actually see it. You've come out in defence of the critics, and
yes,
you're saying that that's what the critics are there for. You call it as it is. That's their job.
Yes, because I think that's very important, that a critic should be allowed. If you're talking about a stage performer, I think you've got to be allowed to refer to the way that performer looks.
Well, you say in the Daily Mail today that she looks like a pork pie, a goodish pork pie. Now, I put it to you, that's not exactly a very high level of criticism, is it?
Yeah, well, I was looking at her, again, the picture of her in this role. She looks a bit like Wayne Rooney with Russ Noble's sideburns.
But Quentin, what does it matter when... I mean, I kind of take your point. Now, you say, would we accept a big, blubby man as James Bond? Probably not, because the role is a great big fit fella. But this is an opera. You can suspend belief sometimes because you're there for the music. This woman has the most amazing voice. People have talked about how fantastic she was in her voice. And surely you've got the intelligence to say, maybe she doesn't look like a svelte young man when she's pretending to be a man, but you're there to listen to the opera. And the people that there were listening to the opera thought she was fantastic.
Well, I think that would work on radio, sure. But opera on stage isn't just about the noise.
I haven't read any really bad reviews of Pavarotti's side when he's played Rudolfo in Puccini's La Bohème, for example. A 20-year-old dreamer.
So do you prefer somebody that can't sing as well?
Pavarotti did. Pavarotti did get. He's dead now, but he did get panned towards the end when he was trying to do these Red Hot Lovers, and he was about 25 stone. It just didn't work. And there was one when he was shot by a firing squad, and he fell over, and the whole theatre shook. And that just didn't work towards the end. It became ridiculous.
But Quentin, do you not think it was the language? It's the language. I take your point slightly. You're saying, you know, she didn't look the part. That might have been to do with costume as well. But it was so personal. You know, she's unbelievably unsightly, unappealing, both as a boy and a girl. You know, and calling her dumpy. And I mean, can you imagine if that was your daughter and people were saying that about her, despite her being a huge talent?
Yeah, I've got two daughters. I think if they became opera stars, I would expect the critics to refer to the way they looked, sure.
Well, it is a double standard because years ago I helped put the three tenors on television, and let's be honest, the three tenors were absolutely massive. And then shortly after that, I did produce a TV interview where Peter Ustinov met Pavarotti, and they were so fat that the only way to film them was up to their necks in a swimming pool because they were huge. But the fact is that I'm a huge opera fan, and I think that when you go to the opera, the primary reason you're going is to hear the singing. And this girl, without a doubt, has a very fantastic voice.
I'm not sure that that's entirely the case these days. I think opera has become much more aware of the way that stars look. I mean, there used to be...
Quentin, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off. You understand I'm short of time, but I think that the most of the opera fans that were there didn't agree with you. But thank you very much for giving us your time and explaining your views. Thanks, Quentin. Thank you very much.